Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Motherhood, and today we're going to be doing some fall baby and toddler crafts as well as recipes. I like doing this every month and doing different things that are seasonally appropriate. So with Thanksgiving coming up and just feeling all of the fall vibes right now, I am going to start with a recipe that is great for toddlers, even older kids or adults. We're going to be making healthy apple chips in the oven. So I have preheated my oven to 350. It's really easy if you have a mandolin. I set it to 1/8 of an inch. If not, you can just really thinly slice your apples, but again, the mandolin is so easy. I usually just get it started a couple of times with my hand and then use a tool so I don't cut myself because they're obviously very sharp. This is not a great food or recipe to make with your toddler because you're mostly just slicing. And I am going to get all of these apples sliced. They're just washed and dried. And then we will get them onto a parchment lined baking sheet and I'll show you the next step. So I've sliced quite a few of my apples here. I'm going to move the mandolin out of the way. Oven has reached 250 and I'm going to spread my parchment paper onto my baking sheet. And then this is truly so easy. I'm laying out the apple slices just so they don't overlap. And you're gonna wanna be conscious of if there are any apple seeds, you just pick those out. But if there is a little bit of the core, that really does not matter at all. Just keep laying them out. And then I am going to sprinkle them with a little bit of cinnamon, but feel free to skip that step. If you or your child doesn't like cinnamon, cinnamon is a really great spice to introduce to young kids. Most people do like cinnamon, although I do have a friend from college who the one food she doesn't like is cinnamon. So anything with cinnamon she does not like. So if that's you or your child, feel free to skip it. And then we are going to bake them in the oven for about 45 minutes. And then I would flip them, bake them for another half hour or so, check on them, make sure they're nice and golden brown colored and have really dried out. If you don't get them completely dried out, then they won't have that nice crunch and crisp to them. So you want to make sure that they are nice and dried out. If yours are a little bit thinner or thicker, the time might vary. Or if your oven runs hot or cold, the time also might vary. So just keep an eye on it, but it should take a little bit over an hour, hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half.
Are turning brown, red and yellow, soon they'll be.
For recipe number 2, I am going to be making pumpkin French toast. I love pumpkin in the fall and it's great for little kids. It's great for their digestion. A lot of benefits to eating pumpkin. So it's a nice way to add it in, and I don't know about you, but my toddler loves French toast. Another extremely simple recipe. These two recipes are something that anybody can make. So I'm gonna link in the description box the recipe that I'm using, but I am just tripling the recipe because I'm gonna use most of a loaf of bread and freeze some of this for later. I'm gonna keep some of it in the fridge to have this weekend, and then the rest I'm gonna freeze and pull it out throughout the rest of the fall and have easy breakfasts, or could even have it for lunchtime or whatever. So I am adding in 6 eggs, again, because I'm tripling it. I have my pan heating up behind me, and then I am going to get my pumpkin puree opened up. And this should just be plain pumpkin, nothing with added sugar or anything like that. And then I'm gonna add in 3/4 of a cup of that. I'm just using a cup and guesstimating over here. French toast is such a forgiving recipe. You don't have to overthink it too much. And then 3/4 of a cup of milk. Same thing. Eyeballing it. Doesn't matter what order you put these ingredients in. And then I am going to get cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice. You need about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Just using a teaspoon. And then a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon. And 3 teaspoons of vanilla.
Now, I'm not ready, not just yet.
I finished mixing all of the eggs up and other ingredients and have preheated my pan like I mentioned. I have decided to use coconut oil just because it's a nice healthy fat. You can use butter or really whatever you prefer. And the process is simple. You're just making French toast. So dredge your bread into that mixture. Let it sit in there for just a little bit so it soaks up all of the egg and milk and spices, pumpkin pie puree. I'm gonna scoot it over nice and close because I know there's gonna be a little bit of dripping, and toss it on my pan. And then we're just gonna keep repeating this process, flipping them as they become nice and golden brown. And then we can enjoy. This would be really great topped, of course, with maple syrup, but you could also keep it even healthier, put some Greek yogurt on top, maybe some fresh sliced bananas could be really good as well. I love banana and pumpkin together, but feel free to get creative and do whatever your toddler or baby would enjoy.
Not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon.
The first craft we're going to start with is a homemade Play-Doh. I have been making these for a while. My son loves them, and one of the great parts about doing a homemade Play-Doh is the fact that you can know exactly what ingredients you're putting in it, especially if you have a little one who's new to the concept of Play-Doh or is under the age of 3 and still potentially putting things in their mouth. The best thing about this one is that it is taste safe. So that basically means that it's okay if your little one puts it in their mouth. They're all ingredients you would find in your kitchen, but I probably would not recommend that your child eat a lot of this Play-Doh. So they shouldn't be actually eating it, but it's okay if it touches their mouth or anything like that because it is just ingredients from your kitchen. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get all of the dry ingredients together. And I'm just putting in a cup of flour, as well as half a cup of salt, which I know is a lot of salt. It's kind of like a salt Play-Doh. There are lots of different types of recipes. This one I did find online, and it's nice because it's a no-bake Play-Doh recipe, and a lot of them require you to cook things on the stove top. So this one does not. The only thing that you're going to need to have heated up is a cup of water. I just put it into a measuring cup here and tossed it into the microwave and heated it up that way so it's boiling. I am going to make this fall themed like everything else we're doing today. Add a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Then I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. Let's see, 1, 2, and then in the measuring cup with my hot water, I am going to add in a tablespoon of oil as well as my food coloring, and then you can mix that with your dry ingredients.
Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow away the sight.
As the water starts to cool, you'll start to feel your dough firming up quite a bit. You can dump it out into your countertop or on a piece of parchment paper. You might want to let it cool just a little bit depending on how hot it is from that boiling water, and you can start kneading it. If you feel like it's overly sticky, which maybe mine is just a little bit, you can start adding in some flour, just about a tablespoon or so at a time. You can sprinkle it on your work surface like you would if you're kneading any sort of dough, and then feel free to get creative with it. I have to say, this smells so good. Kind of smells like pumpkin pie with that pumpkin pie spice. I instantly smelt it when I added the hot water and started mixing everything together. So it has kind of a fun scent to it. But I am going to get out some cookie cutters that I already have that are Halloween themed to let my little one play with, as well as like a rolling pin, and just let him go to town and do whatever he desires. But you can add in other colors. You can feel free to leave out the pumpkin pie spice if you want to make this for a different event and add different colors. I love the neutral earthy color of this one, but I could also add in more orange food coloring to make it a little bit more vibrant. But you saw how simple that was, and this is a great craft for your kids.
All that blossomed will wither away and die.
I saw some really great craft ideas for fingerprint art for toddlers around fall. I have one that's just a general fall idea and one for Thanksgiving. So what I did is I went ahead and cut out some shapes ahead of time just to make this project a little bit easier. If you have an older kid that wants to participate, knows how to use scissors, or knows how to use glue, you could do this in any set of stages. So the first thing that I'm going to do is show you the Thanksgiving craft. This one is great because you can let your toddler just go wild on a piece of paper with some fall themed colors. Red, yellow, and orange would be great. And just make a whole bunch of fingerprints. You can use finger paints, or you could use an ink pad if you have one of those. And then I am going to glue a little turkey shape on here. And I have a few other pieces that I'm going to glue down. You can glue down googly eyes if you have them. I don't right now, so I'm going to draw on some eyes. And that is going to make a cute little Thanksgiving craft. The other one that you can do is to make a fall tree. Same thing, I'm gonna have a white piece of paper, and I am going to glue down this tree that I cut out from some construction paper. If you don't have construction paper, you could use a brown marker. Anything will do. And then you can let your little one do paint or ink on top of the tree branches and let them go crazy again. It's really nice because no matter what their design looks like, it's going to look like leaves on a tree. Get creative with the colors, but I love the yellow, red, and orange colors again for those fall leaves.
I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. I'm not ready for autumn.
We have some washable paint that I used for the fingerprints, and then I am going to get my turkey pieces here that I cut out, really simple shapes. I'm using a hot glue gun, but you can use whatever glue that you might have. I'm just gonna glue that head shape down on top of the fingerprints and put on the final details, and we're done.
I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon.
I hope you enjoyed these fall activities, crafts, and recipe ideas. You try them out with your little ones. I want to thank you for being here with me today, as together we make this motherhood journey sophisticated.